doing? G'day, Stu here from Uavfutures and welcome back to another Sunday question and answer video. Now, full disclosure, today is not Sunday, it's actually Wednesday, because what's happening this weekend, Trev?
It's actually Thursday.
Okay, yeah. Okay, it's Thursday.
And they call me old.
Yeah, okay, I got a baby. But what's happening this weekend? Why can't we do this? We're not even flying this weekend. What's happening this weekend?
This weekend, it's going to piss down rain. We've got a torrential, what do you call it?
I don't know, like a storm?
Yeah, we've got a big storm coming down this way. No hurricanes, just a lot of water, so it's going to be just a tad wet.
Maybe some flash floods and those sorts of things. So that's why we're not flying on Sunday. Anyway, let's get on, jump straight in. Now, if you're new to the channel, what this is the Sunday question and answer videos, even though it's Thursday, the Sunday question and answer videos where every Sunday, or every second Sunday, Trevor and I, we get together, we answer questions from the community, from you guys about all things FPV, drone related, YouTube related. You stick them in the comments below. Trevor and I go through and we pick out some questions and just sort of have a good talk about FPV. Now, you guys are in for a bit of a treat. Strap yourself in, make yourself a cup of coffee, put it on as a podcast if you need to do that, if you're at work or something, because we have a lot of questions to get through. We're talking about a heap of stuff, and I can't wait to share with you guys, because there's a lot of funny ones in there as well. You guys seemed to really like it last week when Trevor and I were sort of having a bit of banter, so I'm going to keep leaving all that sort of stuff in here as well. Maybe I'll turn the sensor right down.
I think you turned it the wrong... Which one did you? You did.
I turned them all the other way, don't turn the middle one. We're having technical lighting issues right now. Now, a massive shout out to GearBest, because they're sponsoring this episode. Every time we go through, we pick one person to be the winner, and today, well, what we've actually got, the winner of this time, they're going to get their choice of a Fury Bee. So I know I've got here, this is the Fire Dancer. We've also reviewed the Dark Max and the X215. Fury Bee has been absolutely killing it lately. Drop some comments if you've got any questions about Fury Bee or anything like that. I'll leave a link up here somewhere too to like a Fury Bee playlist above Trevor's head. But yeah, one of the winners today, you're going to get your choice. It's going to get shipped straight to you, and you can either pick a Fire Dancer, an X215, or a Dark Max. So some pretty cool ready bind and fly quads. Anyway, what we should do, enough rambling, let's jump in and get started with the Q&As. And to go in the running for next week, drop those comments down below, because that's how you go in the running. People always ask, Stuart, how do I go in there? We'll put those questions on. Anyway, let's get on with it. Rightio, so kicking off, this one's from Gizemo Davis. You can fill the rest in. I love it when you guys are together. Would love to fly with yous one day. Hey fellas, what was your first gear you used back in the day? I realised Trev's gear would have been made out of stoneware, but what was it? So when you first started FPV, Trev, what were you using?
What was that? His name?
Gizemo.
Jeez, you got that right. Back in the day, made of stone.
Yeah. Stoneware, they say use stoneware.
No, it wasn't quite actually. I had a Blackout was my first quad, and it was actually made of carbon fibre, so not a stone. And before that, I think it was a flame wheel. But my first racing quad was a Blackout. They
were pretty big. They were sort of like, for those of you who are just new to the hobby, Blackouts were the ones that came in. Trevor's probably still got it somewhere, because he has everything in this workshop. But Blackouts were the one that first sort of shrunk the mini quads down to that 250 size and had some real innovation. Because before that, we were flying around things of plastic, fiberglass. Things were really big. They were the first mini quad on the market, and they made a big scene. Yeah. For me, the stuff I got started with, I bought, I don't know, some Attitude, V2s, a Tyrannus. I kind of got some of the better stuff just straight off the bat, but also got a cheap Banggood kit that had like an Emax Nighthawk and some Emax motors, those sorts of things that I got in. So a bit of a copy, that's what got me flying. This one's from Sean Kind. 5 seconds in and I have a question. Is Trevor getting younger? He looks 10 years younger than in his first vids. FPV agrees with him.
Yeah, it's the batteries.
Well, there you go. That's a nice compliment. So I don't know. Are you getting younger, Trev?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
Who's that? So
Sean Kind.
Yeah, I like you, Sean.
Okay, I'm automatically ruling out Sean's question. This one's from Colin Keys. If I have a small piece on my frame missing or any damage, how important is it to fix it on my quad? The missing part on mine is a standoff in the back. And I would say, look, whatever gets your quad flying is okay. Back in the day when we used to build them, they were held together with zip ties, with glue. You'd cut out bits of foam, sandwich it together, strengthen everything down, do the best thing you could do. Nowadays, everything fits really well. Our components have sort of become standardized, and it's much easier to mix and match and get things working. But back in the day, look, whatever you needed to do to get it flying, that was okay. Of course, some things aren't going to, make sure your motors are secured so they're not going to come off and rip off your board. all that sort of stuff. But I'd say it's, you know, these things are designed to crash. They take huge impacts, and you might lose some structural integrity if you're missing that standoff, but I guess that's just something that you've got to weigh up. I'm telling you, I'd go fly it anyway, even if I was missing a standoff.
Yeah, so would I. Look, I really couldn't answer any better. Whatever keeps you flying.
Yep.
Bit of duct tape, whatever.
Zip ties.
Fix it when you get home, and if not, a good thing we do, I will have a backup quad.
Yep.
First thing I bought was another blackout.
This one's from ZX Behaviour. G'day Stu and Trev. Thanks for getting myself and my 3-year-old into FPV. My question is, where is the Uavfutures test track? And thanks. Well, we try not to say that one too much. I don't know. So I don't have too much to say about the test track. What about you, Trev? Where are you going to tell them where it is?
Yeah, look, it's down the road. It's just off right next to. Great place to fly.
Okay. This one's from Fearless Robotics. Hi Stu, have you ever had a flyaway? How do you prevent this? I recently got into the hobby and I'm nervous about this happening. And I do hear, I'll go first on this one, Trev. I do hear people sort of getting their flyaways. Luckily for me, I've never had that happen, and sometimes it does happen. And I know Trevor can talk about this a little bit more in detail. But for me, what I always do, I always sort of take my props off my quad. When it's plugged in, I rev it up a little bit, spin the motors like it's armed, you know, give it a blip of the throttle, and then I turn my radio off. And then I wait and see exactly what the quad is going to do. So if it keeps going, then I know that I've definitely, that's a potential for a flyaway. What I want to happen on my quad, the motors should stop, and then I know that, look, that's it. If I get a failsafe, the quad's just going to cut and fall out of the sky. What about you?
I've had the misfortune to have a flyaway with a mini quad, brand new one.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
And it did have failsafe was set up on it. Still to this day, haven't seen it again. Don't know what happened. Just had no control of this thing. It just, I was flying, doing a bit of freestyle stuff, and then it had a mind of its own and just kept going. Hit the kill switch, didn't fall out of the sky, so I actually lost radio contact, but we still don't know why we had no failsafe.
I think it's pretty rare out of all the times we've been flying. I mean, when you set up for a failsafe properly, you know, you can take most of the precautions. Of course, if your hardware fails, like it does in that case that Trevor's talking about, then there's not really too much you can do. But definitely don't stop it. You don't make it stop. Ugh. But definitely don't let it stop you flying, because look, it's a small thing to worry about. You're probably going to smash your drone well before you've had a failsafe.
Yeah, well, we've had plenty of fail-safes work for us as well. If you set that up, it does work very, very well.
This one's from Skyrunner FPV. A lot of racers seem to be switching to 5S with lower KV motors to get similar performance but increased flight times. Do you think it's worth it to switch to 5S? Trev, you going to be jumping over to 5S, or you think it's worth it?
I don't think it is, because 5S, you've got to weigh up the factors of 5S of flight time, fair enough. They're a lot heavier batteries, so you've got to weigh the heavier battery up against the 4S. I don't think you're going to increase your flight time much and still have the same speed. So you might go fast a bit less time with 5S, in my opinion.
I reckon there's definitely I think there needs to be more research done. It's something that I want to test out. But one thing to consider as well, look, it's going to be more expensive because 5S batteries are more expensive. There is some different things going on with the amps. I think it's less amp intensive, more voltage intensive, all that sort of stuff. Definitely room for experimenting. That's what I'm excited to find out. But is it worth it switching? I would say just hold off at the moment. Wait, let people like myself or some other people out there do it. Find out if it works or not, if it's worth switching over. Because I don't want everybody to waste their 4S batteries. For me, I love 4S. I fly them all the time, and I very rarely touch my 5S, to be honest. You know, that's only when I want some crazy flat-out straight line speed. This one's from James T. Please, 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 please. So, actually only 3 pleases. Please, please, please have Trev say. Here, you can read that out. It's not even a question, this one, but I don't even know what it means. We've got to zoom in for Grandpa here.
Scott Hastings and partner, please leave the floor.
Okay, I don't even know what that is. So this one's from Cosium. Who are your favourite pro pilots? Mine are Jet, BMS and Steel. What about you, Trev? Who's your favourite pro pilot?
Oh.
No, but seriously, who's someone that you like to click onto YouTube and then you like to watch, besides yourself?
Look, I'd have to say Chad Novak.
Yep.
He probably started the same time as I did. I know he had a blackout and all that sort of stuff, and been following Chad for a long time, and he is just a typical Aussie guy, and love his stuff.
Yeah, I give a shout out to Chad. He's a really nice guy. I've spoken to him a few times, and he's just down to earth, and that's what I like about him. I think he looks like a lot of fun and someone I'd hang out with in real life as well. Like even if it just wasn't quads, I'd still catch up and say hello to him. So shout out to Chad. We'll link his channel somewhere too, up here in the description somewhere. Mine would have to be Nerk FPV, formerly known as Bulbafett FPV or Bulbafett. For me, him and I sort of both started YouTube at the same time, and he's done really well for himself in terms of he's been on DRL. He's smashed it at the World Drone Races, like in last year. He's done some amazing things, like he had a train video which had over 1 million views, and on top of that, he's just another really down-to-earth, humble dude as well. So a massive shout out to him. Go check his channel out because he's such a good ambassador for the hobby. This one's from, and this is I didn't even realize this. This one's from Bick Buffett, so I don't know if that's related to Nerk. But question: how much time a week do you spend bleeping Trev's potty mouth? And what the F, Trev? Love your channel. It's where I get my daily smile.
Well, okay, you won't have to bleep this one.
Okay, you know what? It's not so bad. Those bleeps aren't too bad. What's worse is when Grandpa over here, he's got us just pauses, has a little, I'll tell this part, and you know how many cuts I have to do. That's what takes the time when it comes to editing. It's not the bleeping, it's the momentary pauses that kill me.
Tell you what though, wouldn't it be a lot harder if I talk with my hands? You wouldn't know where to cut it.
Okay.
Not many people do that. Do they, Stu?
No, oh, Trev. Okay, question and answer. What is your favourite type of race? Tracks, short, long, tight corners, or just sort of freestyle ones? What about you, Trev? What sort of tracks, what's a good track for you?
Oh, I like a track that flows, that's fast and flows. So technical ones are okay, but they're a bit boring after a while.
Yep.
If you get one that flows, you can just fly it all day.
Yeah, for me, I want a fast track that flows with some small technical bits, like maybe a few hairpins and that, but I want those gates lining up. I want you to be able to smash that throttle and just punch it around and really hold some nice lines. I think flow is the perfect word when it comes to a good race course, and if you can make it even better, make it, have some verticality, topography, go up and down, up some hills and over some things, that really makes it for me. If you can throw an over and under in there, I love it. And if it goes up a hillside or back down, I think that's even better as well. With also using the terrain, so not the terrain, with also using the environment. So if you've got nice tree gaps, I would love to use a tree 100% of the time over a flag or a gate because it looks so much better and feels so much cooler.
Yeah,
so they're my tips.
I use the trees all the time. I quite often get hung up in them.
Okay, this one's from Cyclops FPV, and I'm pretty sure I've answered, so if this is the same Cyclops that I've answered before, thanks so much for putting another question in. Hi guys, thanks again for the top shelf content. What's up with the giant speakers on Grumpy Trev's bench? They mean those ones, Trev. What's up with those?
They're just me small ones. They're not big. What are you talking about?
Trevor's never thrown anything out, mate. There's probably I bet you if I rummaged through here, I would find some bigger speakers somewhere. So are they actually connected?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. So, did you ever listen to things on that? Yeah. Classic radio?
Yeah,
whatever?
I listen to a bit of Queen and...
okay, alright. Yeah, Trevor.
AC/DC,
So this one's from Paz. Hi, Stu. I love your channel. It really helped me get into the hobby. I love the people who you have on your channel. That's you, Trev. And wanted to know, what do you suggest for making friends in the hobby? My best friend passed away recently, and I'm diving into FPV as a stress reliever, but would love to get out and meet some people who also fly. Now, straight off the bat, I want to say, sorry for your loss there, Paz. I know it's got to be hard when a friend passes, and I would say FPV is a fantastic place to meet people and just get out and just have some good experiences. When I first started, I flew for about a year alone before I met other people who were into the hobby. But I loved it so much, and it was still something, but it really kicked off for me, and I really felt that spark of passion when I met people like Trevor or Cal. Flies nothing better than flying with friends, and we've become like, even though there's a big age difference between, you're old enough to be my dad, and legit you are. Anyway, jokes aside, but FPV really brings people together. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing or what else you're interested in and your other political ideals, anything like that. FPV really brings people together. So yeah, I would say, Trevor, you've become a really good friend of mine, and if you're interested in meeting people, jump on things like Facebook, Reddit. I'll link the Reddit multicopter down below too, because that's where I started doing a lot of my posts. I think that might have been where I met my first first FPV pilot, you know, and jump on Facebook. We're trying to get that light to work. Book all those sorts of online places, some of those forums, and there's probably a group around you where they'll be really welcoming and let people in for a flight. What about you, Trev? What would you say for people who want to meet people?
Well, look, have a look at YouTube. That's how I found this bloke here. Recognised a couple of the shots of being where we fly. Just sent Stu an email through Facebook. No.
Through YouTube.
Through YouTube.
And it had my Gmail on there, and then you could send me. Yeah.
And that's really it. But
that's actually how I met Crash Test Cal as well. So yeah, the two main people I fly with, my two wingmen, or the two other halves, that doesn't make sense. The two other thirds of Uavfutures, Grumpy, Trev and Cal, I got emails from those guys and yeah, sure, let's meet up for a fly, and that was just because they were in the sort of similar area.
Yeah, so, can't win all the time, but sometimes you meet some good people. Yeah.
This one's from DH. Stu, what equipment do you use when you film Uavfutures? Now, at the moment, most of the time I just use a GoPro, and then I have like an SJ cam, which I take out into the field. And shout out to Cal, because he printed me like a little mount, because we used to film it like this, and it was a little bit more shaky. And at the moment, and I've charged the battery, we're filming on like a digital SLR, so just like a Canon.
You've actually charged the battery?
Yes, I've charged the battery, but my phone's going to go flat as well.
Normally uses flat batteries.
Except for when I race. But I want to say to people, you know, you don't need the best of the gear to do this sort of stuff. Before I bought this camera, I was borrowing a similar one every single week. I was taking it home, shooting my videos on the weekend and then giving it back, all that sort of stuff. You know, you can make YouTube content with some really low budget stuff. Even if you've got to use your phone for the camera to take photos, all that sort of stuff, you know. Or I was using a Yomi G, or I could never pronounce that correctly. It took me like 2 years before I bought a GoPro.
Anything correctly.
It took me like 2 years before I bought a GoPro finally. So, you know, you don't need the best of the best stuff to make some fun content that people want to watch. What about you, Trev? What do you use on your channel? Because you just started your channel up. We'll link that somewhere. What do you use on yours for filming?
I've just used... I've got it here somewhere. I've just got a little Canon SX50, I think it is. Yeah.
Alright. And what about in the field? What do you film with in the field?
In the field I use a GoPro and a run cam...
I know the ones.
Just a run cam...
the long oblong
yeah,
ones.
the longy one. Yes.
Run cam Ron uses it.
Yeah. One of them.
One of the run cam Ron ones.
Yeah.
Run cam Ron. Yeah, whatever he uses. Yeah. Hey Stu, been watching your channel. Oh, this one's from Mirko T Rex. Hey Stu, been watching your channel since your Adam build. Well, thanks so much, because that was a very long time ago. So thanks for sticking around, mate. I really appreciate that. I hope you're still enjoying the content. And I've always been curious how you came up with the name Uavfutures. I get the UAV part, but futures sounds more like a financial investment or a financial instrument. Happy flying. Keep the vids coming. This is something, you know, that I think is a bit... When I look at some of the other channels out there, like we've got Joshua Bardwell, we've got RC Model Reviews, Mr. Steele, I know we've got some of the bigger channels, none of them have FPV in their name, and I know there's so many channels out there that are like, what's some FPV ones? Nerk FPV, for example, you know, things like that. They've all got FPV tacked onto the end of their name. For me, I don't know, for me I just picked Uavfutures. I was talking about it with my wife, and like, oh yeah, that's a cool name, and came up with like a logo one night, and then here we are, the rest is history. And it felt so weird to say it at the start. I was like, oh, is that a weird name? But like anything, you get used to it, and now for you guys it probably doesn't even sound weird as well. So that's how Uavfutures was born. Watching some TV on the couch, just throwing names out.
Is that because you couldn't spell FPV?
No, I couldn't pronounce FPV. This one's from Wally FPV. There you go, another FPV. Has Angry Trev ever had hair? And if so, what colour was it?
Who the f***'s Angry Trev?
Yeah, I don't know. Who's Angry Trev, mate? Moving on, from Chris Lewis. Hey Stu, loving the videos of you and Grumpy Trev bantering back and forth. My question is, tell me about battery care. How far do you push your battery's voltage when you fly? And what do you do with them after a day's flying? You want to go, Trev? Tell me what you do with your batteries.
Well, I'll tell you what Stu does with his. He flies them like he doesn't care, and after that we put them out normally.
That's not true. I really care about... Well, actually, I'll explain mine. What do you do with your batteries?
Well, after I fly them, I...
Like, how far do you push them? On a 4S, what do you like to come down on?
Usually 14 volts. Thereabouts, till just after. I don't like to push them much more than that. And after that, when I get home, I balance charge them all.
To full charge or to what? or the storage?
No, storage charge. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, not balance charge. Storage charge. Yeah.
All right. For me, what I do, look, surprisingly enough, I want the best flight footage I can get, right? And I want to push these quads to the limits, and sometimes my batteries suffer, and they're my biggest expense. That's what I spend the most money on in this hobby, is always buying batteries. So I'm always scouring the internet, looking for sales, for getting some good batteries that perform really well, and I will push those things hard. And I think it's what you guys want to see as well. You want to see the limits of the technology that I'm using, and I'm okay if a battery suffers for that. I do come down at about 14 volts, but the battery comes down insanely hot, so almost like it's melting or it's going to burn your hands.
Sometimes you can't touch the battery; they are that hot.
Yeah, yeah. And I have had some burst into flames, which has been unfortunate, but. Most of the time I'll bring it down on about 14 volts. Storage voltage, I'll put them on storage when I get them home, but my biggest problem is I'm just discharging them so quickly when I'm ripping it around a course, and I really need a high quality battery to sort of stay up there because, for me, look, I try to do all the right things, but I guess maybe I just fly them a little bit too hard. This one's from Chunky Monkey. Hi Stu, I love the channel. I have a question about balance leads on LiPo batteries, and what do you think is the best way to prevent them from ending up in your props? I don't find it too difficult to mount batteries. I don't find it too difficult with bottom mount batteries, but I've damaged quite a few top mounted batteries, and I've tried lots of different ways to keep them secure.
We'll grab a battery.
Alright, Trev, we've grabbed a battery. What do we got? We've got one here. It's got a stupid long balance lead. This is the Turnigy Graphenes. Look, I don't mind these batteries. They perform pretty well, but they have a stupidly long balance lead for some reason. But Trev, what have you done? What do you do to protect your balance lead?
Just use a wire tie or zip tie, whichever we're going to call the things.
We're going to call it a zip tie because that's what I call it. I'm pretty sure that's what most of the world uses. Anyway,
you put it on, and not real tight, but just firm, and you can actually slide the thing up and down. So if you need to plug it in, you can. And that really does keep it out of the way for me. I haven't chopped the balance lead since I started doing that.
I should actually probably start doing that. I know Crash Test Carl's got a good solution too. I'll see if I can track a photo down, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to before Sunday. But what he does, he's actually got an extra loop on top of his normal Velcro strap, one that goes through that, and that's where he sort of slides his little Velcro, he slides his little balance lead through and sort of ties that down as well. So he uses an extra Velcro strap, or one of those really small ones made for micros, that he uses to secure his down. So I know that works really well, but that's a good idea as well. Alrighty, moving on. This one's from Steve Gerlach. It's Gerlich. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that. Stu, will you be doing another drone build start to finish? And you know what? I'm pretty excited for this one. I have something massive coming. Like, I know when I did the $99 build, it got a lot of people flying. I really like that. That took a lot of research, a lot of planning to get something right that I was happy to put out there. And I've got something really special coming up, so definitely stay tuned. I know people are going to flip. It's pretty exciting stuff. I haven't even told Trevor about it because I'm keeping it a massive surprise. I can't wait to sort of spring it on you and be like, check this out. Check out what we've made. But you guys are going to love it. So yes, I do have another thing coming up. Something pretty secret, but I can't wait to show you. No spoilers. Hey Stu, great job. This one's from Blineo Carbon 15. Hey Stu, great channel. Been watching a long time. You actually got me flying. Well, that makes me feel really happy because that's what this whole channel's about. Getting people out there, experiencing FPV, and having a good time. Every time I watch a review, I end up smiling and laughing. I've got friends that are hand talkers, but you take the cake. We know Trev gives you grief about it. Do you get it anywhere else, from your wife or your job or keep anything like that? Keep it up. Every Sunday, I look forward to seeing you and what your buddies are up to. You make the hobby/habit fun. And yeah, I guess I never really noticed how much I talk with my hands. I'm feeling a little conscious about it now, but I never noticed too much, and maybe it's just because this is something that I'm really passionate about. This is something I'm excited about, so that's probably why I want to get it out and express it, and it's just that I can't help it. I'm just excited and passionate about FPV. Thanks, Trevor. Anders Trev is getting started. Yay, can't wait for that. They're talking about Trevor, how Trevor just started his YouTube channel. Go check that out by doing some reviews and things like that. And I would say too, I was really proud. Like, I'm just going to give you some feedback. I really liked your first proper review. I thought you did a fantastic job. Much better than my first one anyway. So, and it takes a bit of courage to get in front of the camera the first time on your own channel, and it can feel really weird talking to yourself. But let's get back on with this question. He was already subbed. His question: where to shop for RC drone stuff in Europe? What places would you get your gear from? Trev, do you ever buy anything from Europe?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. For me, I'm going to give a massive shout out to Epiquads because they were one of the first companies that sort of believed in Uavfutures. They were one of the very first reviews I ever did back when I had like 20 subs. So anyway, I'll put the Epiquads link. They're somewhere in Europe. Go check those guys out. Tungsa Taigi. I swear, like, are you guys just making these? How do you pronounce that? Tush. Yeah, see? It's hard. Hi Stu, does an ultralight quad have a noticeable feel than, like, hi Stu, does an ultralight quad have a noticeably different feel than an average light quad, or is it just hype? What about you, Trev? Those ultralights, do you think they feel any different, or is there something to it, or is it just hype?
No, they're definitely different. I don't think anyone can just fly an ultralight one. They're a lot harder to fly. They certainly handle everything different, so it's a bit hard to explain, but I'll probably let you explain that one because all the ones I've flown have been pretty twitchy.
Yep, that's a good word for it. Yeah. I think, look, there is a bit of hype around some of those ultralight frames out there, and of course every manufacturer has a vested interest in saying, oh, fly these super light frames, they're the best, or fly these heavier frames, they're good for acro, all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I've probably flown more frames than, you know, I'd be right up there in anybody in the world. I've flown an awful lot of frames, and in my experience, as my skills get better, I find myself liking a lighter and lighter quad, but I'm putting a bigger and bigger battery on there, and I know for I'm going to say for like 90% of the pilots out there, and I'm sure the ultralight frame manufacturers and people who have those really light ones will disagree, but I find them way more twitchy, and for me it's a bit harder to handle. It might be different for some of those other pilots out there, but for me, in my experiences, it is nice to have, it's good in that acceleration, but for me it's just a little bit too twitchy, and unless you have the control that, you know, comes with years of flying, you're not really going to get the most out of it. But that's just my experience anyway. Stu, why are you wearing a blouse? And there's actually another question that comes up about this.
Because he's a girl.
And I don't know, this is just a comfy t-shirt, guys. Get off my back. Hi Stu, what do you think about some of the professional pilots taking down and ripping on someone else's beginner FPV gear? Also, does it offend Australian people when someone asks if the accent is British? You to want to go? I want to go.
You can go.
Alright, I can get the British thing out of the way. No, if someone thought I was British, that just means they haven't heard enough Australian accents, so no biggie for me right there. In terms of, is a professional pilot ragging on someone because they got beginner gear, I think this is where I'm going to say, like, someone might have some clone gear or cheaper gear, like Racer Star Motors or something like that, and someone might have some really top expensive gear, and that expensive pilot might think that they have a right to rag on somebody else, but, you know, one person who summed up really well, and I'm going to swear here, so kids, well, I'm going to bleep it out, but shout out to Project Blue Falcon, or JC, summed this up best. You know, he was an amazing guy, and it's very sad that he passed away. But he said, if someone else told me how to spend my money, I would punch them in the d. And I thought, you know, that's spot on. You know, you've got no right to tell someone else how to spend their money and what they should be enjoying and what they should do with it. So if those people, those elitists are telling someone else off, that's their own problem. Forget about it. FPV is all about having fun and including people, and if that's what gets people into the hobby, so be it. I wouldn't be here flying if I didn't buy a cheap kit from Banggood in the first place, you know, one of those clone kits. I wouldn't be flying today. I know a lot of other pilots out there wouldn't be in the same place as well. What about you, Trev? If someone turned up and was ripping on your, I don't know, cheaper motors or something like that because they had the next best thing or whatever, what would you say? Do they have a right to do that?
It wouldn't be very nice, what I'd say. Okay. And they'd probably feel the wrath of Grumpy Trev, yep, for sure. So, yeah, I'd probably tell them to f*** off. Sounding like British. I mean, you talk to a British person and you say, oh, Aussie is, g'day, mate. And the British are, good afternoon. It's pretty hard to... The difference is huge.
That's what we think anyway. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah. Stu, this one's from Peter Kozica. Stuart, are you wearing scrubs? No, I'm just wearing a t-shirt. And you know, when I left and I told my wife, look, I'm going over to Grumpy... I'm going over to Grumpy Trev's house to do a bit of filming. She said, why are you wearing that shirt? She said she's going to cut it up into rags. So this might be the last time you guys ever see this one. So yeah, thanks very much, guys. Stu and Trev, when it comes to flying around others, are there any guidelines, like right away, on common courtesies you keep in mind, other than not to broadcast over someone else and taking them out of the sky? So that one's from Adam Young. Trev, what about you? So what are like some things we do when we're flying around in a group? Because that's what we're talking about, flying around in a group. What are just some nice ways you can, you know, be a polite pilot?
Don't be grumpy.
Well, that's bad luck for you.
Yeah, no, look, we've got it pretty well sorted. We have channels all set up that we already fly on, which we don't interfere. We normally tell everyone when we're going to turn on anyway. We're going to plug in now, 1, 2, 3. So it gives them enough time if they're too far away to not get interfered with.
Yep.
And if we're going out in the track, we let everyone know where we're going to go out in the track to pick up our quad that someone's hit.
And make sure the other person acknowledges that too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going over to the ring gate or the over and under or something like that. Yep.
And stuff like, you know, if someone's on a hot lap, which is normally Stu, we'll leave it until he finishes his lap.
That's a shout out on that latest video I did on the America review. Trevor, we were both flying around and I'd actually crashed into the back of Trevor a few times. I'll see if I can put that footage on the end of this video. I'd crashed into Trevor a few times and he could tell on some of those laps on that battery it was just going, everything was going really well. So he just pulled out of his and he was just floating around above and he just let me have full reign of the circuit. But that's very specific because for filming purposes and those sorts of things.
I was really trying to dive bomb him. Don't tell me.
Yeah. I would say some other things we do, like if someone else crashes their quad, then, you know, and they've got their goggles on, you're not doing anything, run over, pick it up for them. If you're the person who knocks a gate over, well, you're the person that should be going over and fixing that up, putting it back in its place. Always turn up, you know, one big one for me is don't turn up to fly just for a few packs in the middle of the day and then disappear when it leaves. The rest of the burden on is setting up and packing up is a massive part of the day. It can take, like, especially if you're there with just you and I, you know, that can be half the day if we're setting up a good track or something, you know, so like 2 hours, and that really sucks. So don't be that guy who's just turning up. Don't be the guy who sort of never, always is there for the shout but never shouts to anyone else. Turn up, help set up, and also help pack up as well. That's a big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's I'm going to say too, that's what's great about Cal. Ever since, you know, before he came on the channel, he was there, he was driving a long way to come flying every single week, and he was always there, even though he had the furthest to drive, always there to help set up, help pack up as well. So, Crash Test Cal, you're an absolute legend, mate, and Uavfutures wouldn't be the same.
Big head. The helmet won't fit him anymore.
So we're moving on. This one's from Anders Barfode. Hi Stu and Trev. This question is probably for Trev. I'm flying with my son who's 10 years old and he's already a better pilot than me. How do you keep the joy of flying a race when you lose 9 out of 10 times, Trevor?
Well, welcome to my world. Get over it.
Yes, I know.
If I had all my kids are pretty old, don't fly FPV, but if I had a son that could fly FPV and he could beat me, I would love it. And just try harder. So practice more. You'll get better, definitely, because every time we go out, I get faster and faster all the time. But Stu gets faster and faster too, which just does give you the. But relish the moment. If he's faster than you, he's only going to get better. You'll get better too, but you'll never catch him. Yeah,
I'm going to say too, like, it's not, for us, that's not what FPV's about. I honestly couldn't give a stuff if Trevor beat me. If Trevor beat me 9 out of 10 times or every single time, I would actually love it if Trevor beat me most of the time, because that's where you get better. That's what pushes you to go that little bit better. I know when I raced around against Thomas from BMS Web, just having someone in front of you and chasing them and seeing them pull away, it was encouraging me to smash that throttle, push myself even harder. I would love it. So if your son is beating you, not only is that absolutely amazing that you can bond and fly with your family, with your child, that's really special. I would love to do that one day with my daughter. But to have them beat you, I think that's even better. Yeah,
you've already won. You got your son.
Yeah, that's it.
You're flying with your son.
Yeah, you might think you're losing 9 out of 10 times, but trust me, you've really won. You've already won. Well done, Trev. You've summed that up quite well. This one's from Rebel Quadrant FPV. Hey Stu, how do you remain impartials with your reviews, and are you worried about pissing companies off? Now the first part, the second part, am I worried about pissing companies off? Absolutely not. I couldn't care less if they got shitty or not, because my allegiance is to my viewers, the people who watch my videos. I want to give them the right information so they can make the best decisions and get the most out of their FPV experience. And especially when they're putting their money into it, I want them to have the best buy that they can. Regarding, you know, being impartial, all that sort of stuff, I get so many offers. It doesn't matter if I do a good review or a bad review or someone agrees with me or not. My inbox is absolutely chockers all the time, you know, with people wanting to get stuff on the channel. So whether a review is good or bad, it doesn't really affect, you know, a lot of people always say, oh, you just want some extra drones coming or something like that. That's not the case at all. My inbox is absolutely smashed. So that's what's great. I can just tell it like it is and share that with you guys. What about you, Trev? How do you feel with you getting stuff on your channel?
Yeah, look, it's regardless whose channel it's on. If it's crap, it's crap.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's good. No ifs or buts. I know Stu's tells it like it is, and I certainly do, as you probably already know.
That, I'm just going to interject here. That's one really good thing about having you and Cal on the channel too. Just getting other pilots' opinions, so it's not just mine.
Yeah.
You know, I can share other people's as well. Sorry, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, we don't get spoon-fed. If we've got a product that is good, we'll tell you it's good. And again, I can't emphasise this enough that if the product is it is going to be and we'll let you know. I tell you.
And a lot of times too, those bad products, as Trevor's using the correct word there, they don't actually even get on the channel because they're not something that I'm interested in. Like a lot of those toy drones, not stuff that I'm interested in, and I don't think my viewers would be interested in as well. This one's from Casey Andrews. Stu, love the channel. With you and Trev ever thinking about doing a meet and greet in Australia? And I'd say, you know what, this is something I'm tossing up the idea below. Drop some comments or I'll put a poll or something like that. I'm thinking, like, I'm about to hit 100,000 subscribers, which is a pretty big deal, so maybe we could do like a weekend where we sort of post up and say, look, we're going to be doing this, and that would probably be pretty recent because I know 100k might be here by the end of the year, which is going to absolutely blow my mind, so I might do something for that. I'm not too sure. Do you reckon we should do a meet and greet in Australia?
Put on a barbie?
Yeah, alright, yeah.
Prawns on the barbie? They'd be hard to get at the moment, aren't they? Yeah, look, I reckon that'd be a great idea. I'd love to meet up with some other guys.
Yeah, well, let's not, these are not concrete plans. Let's not start these rumours. Uavfutures meet up, you know, 2018, 2017. No.
At 100,000 is going to happen.
Yeah. Alright, moving on. So this one's from Dave, mate.
Get it right, come on.
Dave Daya.
I know why you can't read that. You're not moving your hands.
Okay. Hey, Stu and Trev. I love seeing Cal in your channel. He's too funny, and he is funny, as is Trev, and gives honest reviews too. I hope to see him appear in a Q&A or perhaps on Trev's channel. By the way, I love your channels. Cheers. So that one's not really a question, but I thought it was nice because a bit of a shout out to Crash Test Cal. So hopefully his head still does fit in that camera, in that helmet, like you said. But yeah, Cal's an absolute legend. So my favourite part actually that Cal's ever said was he just started randomly talking to the camera, and last week when we did the America review, he went out to do filming with the speed gun and he says, Stu, hang on. I say, yeah, what? And he goes, I forgot the camera. And I was really confused, and he came running back. It's on your head, mate, because we changed it over to a GoPro because he was used to holding it. Anyway.
I don't know how, we might never see Cal again actually because his head's that big now, he won't fit into his own car.
Anyway, that was actually the last question, so thanks so much for everybody who put their questions in. Make sure you put those questions in for next week, or, you know, for in 2 weeks' time or the fortnight, because that's when we're going to get together, do another Sunday Q&A, go through your questions, pick out a winner, give away a prize, and a massive shout out to this week's sponsor, you know, to GearBest for letting us pick a Fury Bee. So you can either pick, we've got this bad boy right here, the Fire Dancer, which looks like it has
Hang on, that's a bad girl because it's pink.
Okay, this bad girl right here, because it's got some pretty amazing stuff in it. The Fury Bee X215, the Dark Max. There's actually quite a few Fury Bees out there to pick from, so a pretty cool prize. Who are we going to give it away to? Well, we've got to draw props. Trev?
Yep.
I'm holding them this time.
Okay, you hold them. There's one.
I don't want to use those little ones, mate. Let me use some ripped off Cyclones. Is this another one?
Yeah. Yeah, there's 2 bits. Look.
Where's 2 bits? Oh gosh, that's the worst ever. You're cheating.
Bloody hard. Yeah. Well, you didn't get it right last week.
Yeah, I got it right the second time. Get out. Oh, I got this. Get out. I got this sorted. You just got to pick the front or the back.
Ooh. So
wait, hang on. And whoever picks the longest prop, whoever has the longest prop remaining, gets to choose the winner.
Okay.
All right. So if you have the longer prop, you get to choose the winner. Alright?
Right, I'll have the back one. I can't get it. Where is the back one?
This is 2 there, mate.
Give me that.
That one? You want me to slide it up?
Slide it up.
So this one right here?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to pick a winner. Alrighty, I picked a winner. Congratulations to Chunky Monkey. Hi Stu, love the channel. So this was the one about balance leads on their LiPo batteries, and we'll get out and what you actually do with them and how we prevent them from getting cut. And that's where Trev was saying he put the little zip tie on there, and Cal had some Velcro. And the reason I chose this one is too because it was also a specific, but I think it's going to help people in the... Can you cut it out? I think it's going to help people in the hobby and save some people's batteries from getting ripped up as well, so it's good information to share. So anyway, congratulations to, I think it was Chunky Monkey or Funky Monkey, let me just double check that. Congratulations to Chunky Monkey. Check your inbox, spam box, whatever it is, your YouTube about page. I'll be sending you a private PM, so definitely check that. Again, a massive shout out to GearBest for providing us with one of the Fury Bees to give away. Go check that link out down below. Check out my Fury Bee playlist, which will be linked as well. Trevor needs to stop doing that. So go check that as well, because Fury Bee's really coming up with some stuff lately. They're really kicking goals, and honestly, I think I can't wait to see what they've got in the future coming up in terms of their bind and flyers. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember to subscribe for more FPV related content. Go and subscribe to the old man, Grumpy Trev over here. Go and subscribe to his channel as well. And as always, happy flying.
See ya.
Sorry, Trevor.
Oh, look, I've got 2 lights left now.
Well, how many did you used to have?
Oh, I did have 4 there. Actually, you
5.
broke the first one. Yeah. Now I've got 2.
Sorry, Trevor.